That fear, it was the biggest struggle for me. If I don't make it, can I still provide for my family? So that was one of the hardest part, is to pull from for something that hasn't been done yet at that time. Can I make a living out of it? It's it gonna work.
Hello and welcome to Business Underdog, the podcast where we bring you inspiring stories for the aspiring entrepreneur. I'm your host, Eric Remer, and I'm thrilled to have you join us on this exciting journey. Couldn't be more excited about today's episode of Business Underdog. I'll be speaking with Xavier Rico, who's truly an amazing entrepreneur, someone who's built something from scratch. And I kind of say turning adversity into opportunity, overcoming ultimately overwhelming obstacles to create a really thriving business. And it's been awesome watching Javier's kind of growth journey, coming from Mexico, not even speaking English, to generating a school that teaches literally thousands of kids a year across the world, Mexico and Spain and Milwaukee and Denver and all those other areas. But it's pretty incredible, not just the journey within his kind of soccer academy, but the lessons that I learned from Xavi, the leadership lessons of being authentic, leading with honesty, even when parents or kids want to hear something different, holding true to the things that you care about, be willing to do the dirty work in the field with the kids to make sure they earn that respect versus having to fear you. And so I think you're going to really enjoy it. I enjoyed it. I've known Xavi for a long time, and I learned a lot of new things that are going to help me in my life and in my career as well. So looking forward to hearing this episode and listening. And so thanks so much, guys. Hey there, welcome to Business Underdog. This is your host, Eric Remer, and I'm incredibly excited to introduce my guest today. This person I've known for many years. I've watched not only him build his business from ground up, but really his talent on the field. Xavier Rico is CEO of XR Soccer Training. And as I said, I've watched this evolution of this business that really just came from an idea. And I also watched the talent as he actually coached my son for many years, and how he provides incredible value, not just the kids' development, but the kids' growth as human beings as well. So with that, I'm going to introduce Xavier Rico. Hey, Javi, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you? And thanks.
I'm doing.
Thank you so much for having me. Like you said, we know each other for many years, and Coach J's and everything. So I appreciate you having me, and hopefully, I can help anyone out there.
Awesome. No, well, you definitely can. I mean, your story is one of turning adversity into opportunity, overcoming overwhelming obstacles where most people would have quit or not had the fortitude to continue on. So I think it'd be really cool. I mean, really one of the reasons I started Business Underdog is to share these stories, the stories of, entrepreneurs who have built something that didn't exist before, came from circumstances that were hard to overcome, and ultimately created success, not only for themselves, but for their communities, the people they actually help. So it'd be awesome for you to kind of, I know it, I've heard it before, but just your background, and even from coming from Mexico, why you came, how you got into coaching, and ultimately the evolution of XR.
Yeah, well, I came to the United States. I'm from Mexico, born and raised there. I came to the United States in 2004. Basically, I didn't want to follow the pattern that is in Mexico, where you usually just work for your dad business and family business. I wanted to create my own path and do something different. All my family, kind of cousins and everybody does that, and friends. So I just want to, I said, do my own thing. I came to the United States, try to play soccer. Soccer has been in my family. My dad played professionally in Mexico. So this has been in my blood since I was, in my mom's belly. So coming here, I came to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 2004, try out for a team, Milwaukee Wave at that time. I was not good enough to make that team, and the coach said, hey, stick around. When that spot opens up, you'll jump in, so stay in practice, and we'll help you out with doing camps and here and there. Well, that opportunity is, I was there for 6 years.
Wow.
As an illegal immigrant. I came as a tourist, and then overstay. So I stay as an illegal immigrant, and basically do a little bit of everything. Like I did camps, summer camps. I work with little kids. I work I ref games. I I help a friend who has owns a restaurant. I waiter a little bit. I bartend. So I pretty much did everything I needed to do because I knew that I wanted to make a living here in the state here. So that was, yeah, 2004, and then like I said, 6 years, which it was a little bit of struggle, as some people will relate to this. Is I did not have a driver license, insurance or bank account or things like that. So it was a little bit harder, not gonna lie. And but yeah, I think that's what made me the person I am. Besides, obviously, my parents and my family helping me out with that. But I think that those struggles um, made me who I am, and mentally, I think it's the big impact that I had through those adversities. Just made me very strong, and here I am now.
That's amazing. And so you came over to Colorado, and you were teaching youth soccer and literally taking the best teams in the state at multiple levels. As you were coaching, what gaps did you see, and what did you see that made you kind of really say, you know what, this is great. I love the impact I'm making on coaching, but I think I can make even a greater impact if I started something, an academy, which you ultimately created with XR. So I'd love to hear more about that.
I obviously don't want to attack anyone out there, but I just saw at that time a huge gap in the individual footwork, technical. A lot of coaches and clubs that were not emphasizing and the individual, they were more as a team. And every time, I would see players in the States, is they were afraid of going on 1v1s. It was easier for them to pass the ball. So I started paying attention to those details. I was not by any means a more technical player. I became through XR. I became as I was coaching it, but because I was needing a job, I needed the money. So I saw that gap. I saw an opportunity. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start doing this because people don't want to do it or don't like doing it. I don't know what it is. But I started doing it, and I master, and that meaning like I was practicing in the basement, I was practicing in the fields myself because I did not know a lot of that I was trying to get into. I didn't go through that as a kid, all this technical part. So I was training myself while I was trying to make a living. So that was a challenge. But yeah, overdoing it, and I saw success in the kids that were doing it. I saw myself, first of all, as I was practicing, I got better at it. And I'm like, well, if it's working for me, which I'm 30 something, it's going to work in a kid, he's just starting. So that's basically it. I saw that I had a need, and I saw that need for youth soccer.
And most people don't know this, but you know what Javi teaches, some of the technical training is very technical, a lot of footwork and a lot of quick moving footwork. And there is not one thing that Javi has taught that he hasn't learned first. When he teaches the kids, he literally walks them through the motions, and they're not easy motions; they're complicated. And to his point, that he practices them before he expects the kid to do the kids to do them. But the memory creation from these kids in the early stages really lasts through their entire development as soccer players as they get older as well. So I have seen the profound effect that you've had on these kids' development. Again, not only as technical players, but they've learned a lot from you as a coach and a leader as well. So that's really awesome. So as it's funny. I kind of was with you as you started doing some private trainings, and then do a couple, camps during the year, and then some winter trainings. And, tell me some of the barriers you had, working within clubs, without a clubs, to really starting to get XR to the point where you have it today. What were some of the early things you had to overcome?
Well, as any entrepreneur, and when I came to Colorado, I already had two kids. So my wife and my two kids. So I was, as anyone, I was going into the safe place, which is a club that pays my bills, and I have a steady income. So now going into XR is like to the unknown. Is this gonna work out because kids already training with the club? So that fear it was the biggest struggle for me. If I don't make it, can I still provide for my family? Um, so that was one of the hardest part is to pull from for something that hasn't been done yet at that time. Can I make a living out of it? Where I have a very good, comfortable situation. So that little jump or that big jump, I think is what's one of my biggest barrier is like, it's it gonna work. And having
Yeah.
family, because when you're an entrepreneur but you don't have the family, you're like, okay, if I fell in my, in my own is my own butt and I can get up. But having kids, it's just a different story.
And a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to that. They're not 25 anymore, they're 35, and they actually have something to give up, to take that chance, to take that risk, to create something. And I think that fear, overcoming that, what if this doesn't work, and what do I do, and is this going to pay my bills in addition to hopefully taking me to the next level? I think it's something shared by many early entrepreneurs, many people leaving, whether that is a soccer coach going to an academy, whether that is a plumber building his own plumbing company. It's ultimately the same thing. When you leave something that you know versus something that's unknown, even though you believe strongly in it, it's scary. It's
Can
completely scary.
can I add something there? Because I
Of
think it
course.
would be super helpful is while I was coaching club and why I started XR is because I was coaching club soccer and at that time a lot of the clubs didn't have insurance. So I hurt my knee. I had a knee surgery that it was like $47,000 that I had to pay out of my pocket because I didn't have insurance. So that time, plus paying that, and then plus not being able to coach. So I was in a very bad situation financially and mentally as well. So from that moment, I said, I'm never going to put myself in this situation again. I'm not going to rely and put all my eggs in that basket, which is club soccer. So that's why I started XR to have that, outside income and have a plan B in case this ever happens again. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically why I started XR. It's just out of tough situation.
No, that's again, probably shared by many, many people in those situations that are willing to kind of take that risk because they have other things that are going on. So as you started XR, part of it was building the trust of parents that you weren't just a coach, but they should be paying you above and beyond just the regular fees. What were the small things that you did during and after to really get people's, trust in you that they should be, giving their kids to you on weekends and after schools and all that kind of stuff?
I think once I saw that it worked on me, being an adult, I think it gave me so much confidence that I'm like, just for anyone out there, when I'm in the field, I feel like I'm the best soccer coach out there. Like there's no doubt in my mind that I'm gonna do something good for the kids. So I think that just um, gets out there to the parents that come and bring their kids, and I'm always honest to them, and that's one thing that I just don't see very often anymore. It's just honest and said, hey, if you come one time with me or two times, it's not gonna work. You gotta commit to it. Give me at least 6 weeks, 7 week session, and then if your kid doesn't get better, then by no means walk away from me. But give me that chance. But your kid has to commit because it's not just on me. You know, um, I think the main reason is just being honest. That's it. I always have a saying: it's better that you're mad at me because I told you the truth, that you're mad at me because I lied to you. I always like to see people because you know how the small world is in
Yeah.
soccer. So you're gonna see that people again, and I want to see in their eyes and say, hey, I told you, maybe what you don't want to hear, but that's what it is, and I feel I'm okay with myself, so I can walk into you anytime, any moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense. And by the way, imagine the concept of, being authentic and honest is a good thing for business. Ultimately, as you know, the passive aggressive and the BS that people tell each other, it's not
Eventually
sustainable.
catches up,
100%,
and then
100%.
you're like, why did I
So
tell him? I don't remember.
exactly. If you tell the truth, it's easy to remember
Yeah,
because it's
way
true.
easy.
Exactly. So, I've watched it. You and I've had these conversations. You started with, winter training, and then you had training during the club season, and then you started summer training. And you and I talked about you wanted to hire, a person, then maybe another person, and how do you expand to different cities and how many camps can you actually do? What are the signals? How do you know as an entrepreneur where every step is scary? Just like the first step was scary. Every step you take beyond that is going to force you to invest more money, take chances. If it doesn't work, it could actually hurt you personally and financially. How have you made those decisions along the way?
So first of all, I think I don't know if this is, but you helped me a lot.
I
Just
appreciate it.
just with those meetings, and listen to me and those advice. I think they helped me. Yeah, a big part of my career has been people like you who I admire and challenge me because I want to get to that point. So I think it's just listening to people. That's what helped me the most. Um, you challenged me. I remember that meeting. It was in your office downtown, and you say, how can you grow? Is just scaling things. Like if you want it to be investable, then you have to be let somebody else run and delegate. It can't be just hobby. Because hobby gets run by a truck, and then we don't have XR. So I took it very hard, and that's what I went and like you said, I didn't know if it was gonna work. We opened south, which I'm always working in the north of Denver, and we said, let's try it south Denver, and it worked out. First of all, we started like 20 kids, but then we keep growing, and then we said, you know what, we're gonna try Mexico, because that's where I'm from, and it was scary because it's just a different market, it's just different dynamics, but that was very, very scary. So, but it worked out. And like I said, it's just people like you challenge me. Um, I was able to hire, a great lady who helps me with admin and now a marketing guy. But and they're full. They're actually right here, but they help me every day with pushing me when I'm doubting myself. It's like we can do it. So that helps a lot. People like you. So I would say like get and they always say, what you surround yourself is what you're going to become. And it's so 100% true. So 100% true.
I didn't even know about Mexico. That's amazing. I didn't know you expanded there, but it actually is a good transition to kind of the next question. One of the things unique about XR things you do is bringing the international experience to the kids, both by taking groups of kids to abroad. We went several years to tournaments in Spain and all over the world, as well as bringing international coaches into your camps. Talk to me about, how you see that as not only part of growth of XR, but really helping the kids expand their knowledge of soccer and their knowledge of, global competition.
Well, basically, it's because I spent so much time in Milwaukee coaching these three teams. I started when they were 9, and at 16, at that point, I was like, I don't feel we really experienced soccer, like what soccer it's all about. Where I was raised, where I was coming from, the passion. I see passion here in football, like American football and things like that. But I don't see it inside now. It's starting, but at that time, it's like I want to show these kids that I'm coaching what soccer is all about, what it's out there, and so that's why the Spain trip started. I went to the trip myself. I tried to put my name in things that I experienced myself first, and then I feel good. Then that means the kid is gonna be good at it. One thing that I recommend anyone out there is don't think so much about the parent, but think about the kid experience. Because in the end of the day, the kid gets better and has a good experience, and it is gonna drive the dad or mom to bring it again. So think first as a players that we were. What's things that we liked and we didn't like. Um, so, anyways, taking kids to Spain is I wish I was doing this early enough because I had a team, like I said, from 9 to 16 that I don't feel like I shown much soccer. We went to all these local tournaments, but it was just like play, pack, and go. This tournament in Spain, it shows you like from the dressers, from the locker rooms, the talks, the chanting, the music you play, those are just very unique experiences that you don't get to experience in the States. The passion and the parents, the drums, all that, you experience that, but in professionally here, only in the professional stadium, but you don't see it in youth. And that's one of the reasons I want to do is players get to see that, families get to see that. So yeah, and then I was meeting coaches while I was there, good people, really good people that were into for the kids and into for the, the game. So I say we don't, and club soccer is a circle. We coach the kids 8, 9 months, and then we're doing camps in the summer with them. So what's the point? Like hearing the same boys, seeing the same coaches over and over. So that's when it came to my mind. It's like let's bring in these guys that the kids are going to be in front of them. That this is what they do for a living. This is Spanish coaches coach, but then go to watch a game on TV. They go to the stadium, so they live it through 24/7. Where here in the States, you get to coach, but then you're going to see the Broncos or Brewers or whatever at CDM. You don't get to see the full thing. So yeah, that's basically it. It's just to bring a little bit of culture.
That's awesome. And then move a little bit to kind of a personal side of things. As I said, when you haven't seen you a little bit, you look fantastic. And, I'd love to hear more about your kind of 4 a.m. workout routines that really just not only drives you physically, but also from a leadership, coaching style, like what you gain out of those early morning kind of routines you have.
I have a lot of anxiety. I get so much in my head. I'm a 24, guy thinking and always how to grow, how to get better, how to move. I get a lot of criticized as like you just opening or doing things. But that's the way I work. And one thing that helps me personally is to get up. I like to get up at 4 in the morning. And then I start my workouts at 5 for an hour. And that really helps me just to release some of the anxiety, some of the stress, and that sets the tone for me for the day. There's sometimes very, very few times that I have skipped it because either my kid is sick or something like that, but I don't feel good for the day. I don't feel good, and so that workout is huge for me. And I go to the gym 5 to 6, and then because I do a lot of business with Spain, so in Spain it's always 2 p.m. already, so I started getting on the phone in that time, and then mainly I can help my kids, set up for school. So by 11 a.m. it's a full day for me already, where people are already most likely starting. For me, I'm already done, almost done with it. So I think I take advantage and, listening to people that said like, we only have a certain amount of time, during the day. So let's maximize it. And that's what I try to do. I sleep very, very few hours. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it has worked for me.
Well, it kind of is your own personal accountability. How have you, both from a coach as well as from a, kind of leading the training academy, bring that accountability to kids? How do you hold them accountable when they're 8, 9, 10 years old, learning about accountability, what that even means? I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
So when they're little, I started simply by, they're used to 4 or 5 water breaks. Well, I caught those water breaks in XR, I give them 2 the max. And that's already disciplining your mind. And then also like, coach, can I go use the restroom? Well, you used it before training, and you should train your body to last at least 45 minutes before you need to go to the bathroom again. So it's just setting the standard, setting the tone, I think if I wasn't a soccer player or a coach, I would be a Navy SEAL, because that's kind of the path I love. It's just like, that drive, that mentality to get better, be better than, the next person. So I try to translate that to the kids just by simple cutting the water break, going to the bathroom, the goofing around, and the expectations, they start becoming now higher and higher. And I don't even have to say anything. It's just I stop some of the habits, I stop some of those things, and right away they know, okay, we're not going to goof around. And my trainings are intense. So,
well, by the way, it's a great lesson in leadership in general. You practice what you preach. You are very consistent. And I will say, I've watched you coach, for many, many years. You don't raise your voice. You don't yell at the kids. You don't intimidate them with physical or verbal, presence, or certainly abuse in any way, shape, or form. But they don't mess around. There's a deep level of respect of what you're going to do. And what's interesting, Xavi, is if you're out, or you would be out, and someone comes in to fill in, they could be teaching the same stuff. The level of accountability drops significantly. And a lot of that has to do with you creating the level of expectation, the level of respect. I used to yell at Jace, I'm like, Jace, if a Javi was watching you right on that field, you would not be walking to that ball. I can promise you that right now. So it is ingrained in them. And I actually wish more coaches and leaders in general would lead through that level of consistency and accountability, and not feel the need of, intimidation, or other kind of like, I would think like cheap ways of leadership. It's like the shortcuts of like, I'm not doing my job, so I'm gonna yell at you and make you feel, defensive, which rarely works with 11-year-old kids. So just a huge compliment to you of how you've nurtured that, and the kids really respond to it.
I really appreciate it, and I think the key word of that is fear, respect. That's the key word. I have that in my coaches, and it worked for me. And I think I try to translate just that. It's like, I don't think you need to be abusive. I'm doing the exercise with them. I want to, they feel where your tone of voice, like, and with the work you put out there, they know you're wanting to get better. So I think that's the key word is, fear, respect. And another thing is, coaches out there is like, if this is what you like and what you love, then you got to put time in it. Like, look like a soccer coach, be able to, demo things, be able to hang with the kids and not just sit in a chair and be yelling from it. Like, that's how you get respect while you're out there in the battlefield with them, not just when you're sending them, to battle. But I think that's one of the biggest keys, and we're losing that.
That's awesome. So as you've like talked about the amazing story of where you've gotten to so far, where XR is. I'd love to talk more about your plans going forward. I know you care about a lot about not only the culture you've created, but the quality of coaching you're giving to the kids. How do you expand? And what is your vision of expansion while maintaining your culture and the quality that you're providing?
That's a tough one. I'm not gonna lie. To like you said, is keeping the quality, because like any business, if you're not there, you're the one who care the most. I was having a conversation with a friend about this. Is the way I fold the goals, the way I put the marketing away, it's just way different than someone that is not their business will put it away. Because to me, I work for it. So maintaining the quality is going to be hard, but the vision right now, we just opened, I don't think you know about it, but we just opened an overnight camp, a residential camp in Fort
really
Collins. Cool. We just launched this past summer, and it went really well, really well. People love it. We were expecting 65 kids. We got about 55. So for the first year, it went great. We got really good feedback. So that was one of the visions that I had in my mind. I worked for overnight camps for years. So I always wanted to create one. We're working in a Madrid trip now. We have Barcelona, which is Mundialito. We had it said we've been going there for 8 years. But I said, you know what? I'm a Real Madrid fan. I have to go to Madrid. So we are in the talks right now to launch one. Actually, next week, we're going to launch a Madrid trip that is going to be
cool.
almost the same time as Barcelona. And yeah, those are the projects right now, and we're been working the past few years on it, and one launch, and the next one is coming up. So the last part is we just hire a technical director that's going to be working with me. So hopefully, like you said, is replicating what I'm doing in the field, off the field, in a different area, so we can expand and mainly get more kids. And the main thing is not make kids or families drive, where they can have the same quality, the same vision, the same mentality. So Javi Padial is one of the guys. He's from Spain, and he's now here in Denver. So yeah, that's a big news so far,
That's awesome.
and excitement.
Well, congrats. And it's incredible to watch your continued success. And so as we kind of, end up here, I want to, share some of the lessons you've learned with others. And, if you would look back, 5 years ago and someone was in your seat, what advice would you give them? What would you tell them? They're thinking about leaving and starting something new. They have an idea or they have a skill they want to provide. What advice would you give them? And what should you tell them to do first? What's that first step they need to take?
The number one thing is is find what you love, what you like, what's your passion, obsession. I think I crossed the obsession part now. Now I'm, like I'm in. Passion was my, soccer, but now I'm obsessed with it. Like I love it, and I would say find what you like, right? So every time you wake up, you're not like, I gotta get up, I gotta go here, because I see it in so many times. Every time I go to the gym, I hear it's like, well, I'm here, and it really frustrates me that people say like it's just another day in paradise. Those I don't know why I don't like him. Is take advantage of the day and do something that you like, and that's the number one thing. The second thing, Eric, is get with someone that is successful in what you want to do. You know, get someone that has something going on, good. I was blessed enough to work with someone, Danny Madrigal, that he taught me a lot of the things, because at that time I didn't know how to coach. I just knew how to play, but I didn't know how to coach, and he showed me a lot of the things, and I was just with him, in a day in and day out, and I learned a lot. So I would say be patient. Right now, everybody wants to hit, the jackpot right away and wants to be a director or wants to have their own program. This just doesn't come that way. We're talking about now 20 years later, when I came to the States, but it's just be patient. You have to learn so much. It's how to talk to people, how to manage the kids. It's not just getting out there and setting cones. It's a whole process. If you want to be successful in it, if you want to make, it just supplemental money here and there, then just, you don't need any advice. You just go out there and set cones, but if you want to make it a living and you want to, impact kids and do something different, then you need to get a good mentor, and you have to be patient. Know all the angles from the field to the outside of the field. I would say
That's
those are the
awesome.
two that stick in my head.
I think those are, like I said, great piece of advice no matter what field, whether that is any entrepreneurial pursuit that matters. You and I joke about all the time. People want instant gratification in this world, and it takes time. It takes time to hone your craft. It takes time to understand the market. I mean, you and I are talking about XR now for, I don't know, 7, 8 years. And I know 8 years ago, you wish you were where you were today, right? But you had to go
100%.
through those kind of successes and pitfalls along the way to get you there. So I couldn't be happier to see your success and see you've grown. I think everyone who's listening could really understand the adversity you overcame and the obstacles you had, the hurdles you had to overcome to get there. And it's a pretty incredible story, Javi. So thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for sharing your story.
I appreciate it so much, and not just for this opportunity, but for everything you've done for me and XR and for my family. So, like I said, you're part of that, and why I'm here, and I'm not even done yet. So I'm still gonna call you a couple of times, but
Anytime,
but I
anytime.
appreciate you. Thank you so much for everything you've done.
Awesome. Thanks, Javi.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on this episode. I'd like to invite you to subscribe to Business Underdog on your favorite podcast platform. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode, and you'll be the first to hear these incredible stories. Please be sure to follow us on social and visit our website at businessunderdog.com for episode updates, resources, and more. And thank you for listening today. Until next time, stay inspired, keep pushing forward, and embrace your inner underdog.